We give it a minute to start. Oh, we give it a minute to start. For the signal to come through. And there's the first thumbs up, you know. So. Yeah, baby. Pouring the hot water on the tea bags. You can put the kettle on, baby. Yeah, so firstly, before I get into today's topic, this is a very important video. You must watch this and share this, okay, with lots of people. It's a helpful video. Although all my videos are helpful. And before I get into that, I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live event with two top comics next week, I think. Possibly next week. It'll also be on YouTube, so look out for that. So, Uncle Thomas is always here to help, put a smile on your face, and that's important. That's a kind of good segue to this video, okay? Anyone who's been following me on YouTube for the last decade or online, in fact, it's been used against me by cults and by borderlines who didn't get to be my soulmate, is that I've always used humor and delivery of humor from the time I was young as a way of softening up difficult things to deal with. So when Usenet first started, there was still terrible violence in Northern Ireland, and I used to make up satirical stories about, you know, being a pimp on the Irish border, or the Sinn Féin sex hotline and things like that. And it brought people from both sides and both communities and both political spectrums, and English and Irish and Scottish people together. And then there was another time, I told you, there was a Nazi group called the Irish Nationalist Network, and I used to satirize what they did, and they're gone, and so on. So I've always the power of the laugh, and you know, that goes right back to like the Buddhist monks laughing at demons, you know, because if you don't laugh at demons, they will possess you. So you know well that I'm not a doom monkey. I don't spread doom. I don't I don't want people addicted to doom, and I try to help people who are in a state of doom to put the fucking brakes on. Okay. Now I promised you that the Rona thing would end. Remember the egg ritual? We did that. I don't care if it didn't end, and of course it did. I knew it would, and it wouldn't help. But the main reason that egg ritual, the main purpose of that was it gave people hope at a very dark part in the situation, when people felt helpless, when they're being told like things like this thing may last 10 years, that you may never work in an office ever, your job ever again, when people couldn't see their elderly for parents, when people were being told that this was going to be the beginning of total totalitarian slavery. I devised that egg ritual because I knew it would work. It did. It did. It just took a different April 9, but it still worked. But also, very seriously, I saw a lot of pain and fright and terror out there. And even if it was only for one night, people who felt like there were no control over their lives at that time took back control and asserted their own sense of self upon the situation. It was, and people all, you saw, they all wrote back and said, I did it and I felt amazing. I was so down. We took the kids out to the sea and we did it. We took the kids out to a river and we did it. We made a night of it, made a party of it. And it just made me feel so much better. It made us all feel better. And that was his primary purpose. Because I really am all about the love. But I'm about tough love too. I'm not a Christian. I don't have unconditional love, and I don't love everyone. And I don't mind smoting my enemies, because I don't atone by eating a box of Jesus biscuits, on the Sunday, handed out by the priest. It's So I am about love. I really am. I'm not joking about that. Yeah, I joke about it. But that's really what drives me in so much of this stuff. And I don't like to see people hurt. I don't like to see people sad. I'll even sacrifice my own happiness to make another person happy, a person who's sad happy, or to take their minds off it for a second. Contentment or abstraction. I've been like that since I was a kid. I was the kid who was always telling the jokes when something bad happened or things like that. I would start singing songs and stuff like that. I was always that kind of kid, and I'm still like that as an adult. And I don't like to see people in a despondent state, especially if they don't need to be in that despondent state immediately. And this brings us to the doom thing, okay? Think back to the worst predictions made about the Rona, okay? That the VXID was here forever and it was going to be a universal basic credit system within a couple of years. Where is the VXID now? Now, I know it's not gone in places like Australia, New Zealand, and in the Southern Hemisphere, but it'll go. And Germany as well, it will go. The reason why Britain and Ireland were quicker was because I think the English language and the fact that we have a great, and America as well, a great sense of humour, okay? And I know, and the ones who are doubling down, like Trudeau and the German government, a lot of that is to distract from what's going on in the Ukraine. It will go, okay? It will go. There's also an element in Germany and Austria where they're atoning still for World War II. They've been programmed to believe they have to grovel on their knees to the internationalists to beg forgiveness for World War II. There's a lot of that going on there, okay? But in Ireland, the VXID is gone. In England, the VXID is gone. In Britain, the mandatory mask wearing is gone. The international travel restrictions are gone. The kids are no longer wearing overcoats in classrooms with the window open. It's all gone. So the worst demand, I know people that not even 6 months ago, I don't know them personally, but I would see them online, but I knew they were telling the truth. That they really did believe that because they didn't have the Needlecraft, that government agents were coming to the door and would arrest them, bring them to a detention centre and forcibly inject them. Whatever happened to that? But yet they fretted and feared and lived in torment over it. And for what? For nothing. Remember the stories that there was FEMA camps out in the woods and stuff like that for people who didn't take the Needlecraft. So there was no universal basic credit that came in from the VXID. The VXID is gone. There was no, we were told we would be able to shop in supermarkets. That never happened. We were able to shop in supermarkets. So those of us who abstained from the Needlecraft, our lives are back to where they were in 2019. Not a bother. And even at its height, when I still needed to make films and stuff, I get to England to do conferences, I took the backdoor trip through Northern Ireland. Where there's a will, there's a way. Now that's a very important thing, okay? If you are bombarded with the most terrifying news that you perceive as terrifying, immediately think of a way to get around it. I found a way to get to England through Scotland and Northern Ireland without having to have a VXID. Why? Because that's the kind of guy I am. I will look for a solution. It was a friend of mine online in Canada. She reminded me a while back, quite rightly, that the ones who died in the Titanic were the ones who were told to wait for their lifeboats. And the ones who survived were the ones that fucked this and jumped into the water or jumped into a lifeboat. And, at the beginning. The ones who went into the water at the end had no chance. And that was a great lesson. When she told me that, it really gave me a great reminder. Now, Yes, I understand now, looking back on it, it's easy to say this now. And there was an awful lot of doom back then, but it didn't come to pass. I told you back then, please just wait. Some of us will have to wait longer than others have had to have to wait longer. But just wait. Don't bottle it unless you really, really have to. And if you did, to try and keep your job, and you're my friend, I would not hold it against you. Not at all, okay? That I understand completely. The only, that I wouldn't have a problem with those people. I said, just wait. And even the people I just knew if all we had to do was show bottle, because we're dealing with black magicians here, okay? They will respect you if you stand up to them. They will smote you and destroy you if you grovel before them. Now, so the doom thing is only the next. There's so much. What happens is people, when the doom thing came along at the height of the Rona, they instantly believe all the worst. And not to the point like, well, it could happen, maybe we should take a plan. It's, oh my God, we're fucked, oh my God, and they become consumed in the worst of it. What happens when you get yourself completely wrapped up in doom and feeling that the world is finished, is you will destroy yourself, okay? So, like at the height of the when the pandemic thing really kicked off, and I had nothing to do, I was sitting at home, my business was closed, I had nothing to do, and I said on here, I'm going to build a model railway, because I had all my old trains up in the attic, and I just had to buy some track, and I started building a model railway, just to take my mind off it, which I'm doing now, which I'm still doing, okay? Still in the early days, it's taking a long time, and I'm building. That was a tremendous help for me. People might think model trains are stupid, but they're not. They were good for me. They reminded me of a time when I was a child, and I had, and I'd been always collecting over the years, even though I didn't have a model train layout. I used to see a train or something in a HO train or a 00 train in a shop somewhere when I had money, when I was making good money in Dublin or New York or London or Frankfurt, wherever. And I would say, oh, that's nice, I'll buy that. And it would go into storage in the attic for the day when I was retired, and I would build a model railway layout. And so it brought pulling those trains out of the attic and going through the box. And I said, God, I bought this one in London. I bought this one in Berlin. I bought this one in San Francisco. I bought this one in Canada. I bought this one in Dublin. And it brought back, I had this since I was 8. And it brought back tremendous memories, okay? And it gave me something to take my mind off the doom. People, if you're in a band, continue practicing and continue writing songs. I told people, keep doing it. Don't get hooked up on the doom. If you have a hobby that you put off for all these years, like me, like I wanted to build a layout, but I wasn't going to do it until I was in my mid to late 60s. That was my plan. I brought that forward early. And I'm glad it did, because it did me a favor. And that hobby is now bringing tremendous pleasure to me that I would have had to probably wait another 10 or 15 years to get to. So that was a blessing in disguise, and it gave me a focus, It gave me a focus. I bought the magazines, and I would look online, and I would get techniques, and that's how you fix the motors. That's how you put the LED lights in. Wow, that's how you do scenery. It was fucking fantastic. And a lot of the things I'd played from wargaming in the past have been very helpful. And I even found my old wargaming stuff. And I had the terrain pieces and stuff, and I remembered how I made them. And it was a lovely recapturing of happy times, okay? And it did my heart unbelievable good. And then I said to people, you're in a band, just keep practicing. Practice at your house. Keep writing songs, keep recording. Same with, if you always wanted a cat or a dog, now's the time to get one. If you wanted to build an aquarium, this is the time to get the fish. This kind of thing. Do that. Don't be online all day, terrorized by the latest doom from the alt media, because it's not helping at all. And also not helping is getting angry at the politicians and the media. It's not changing anything. So if you're a painter, paint. If you want to do the house up, do the house up. Now, a lot of the people I know who handled the doom, say on our scene, the alternative scene, who handled the doom well, tended to be people from working class backgrounds, or people who were my age growing up in Ireland and England and didn't have a lot when we were teenagers and had to adapt. And we coped the best. You know, it's like the whole thing, right? The ones who coped the worst and the whole thing and were highly educated people. They thought it was the end of the fucking world due to this like death plague. And they were the ones believing everything the governments, news media, and the experts were telling them. And they were the first ones to call us tinfoil hat nut jobs and all this stuff. Whereas trust the science. Well, we'll talk about what their legacy, what's happened to them later. And there's a great lesson in this, in all this video. But like those of us who did a couple of years in tech or went to tech or, you know, trade school, and when we were younger, and then went out to work we learned things. And these learning of things one of the things you learn is that human beings are unbelievably resilient at times of when they need to do things. And it's in little things that shows how clever the average person is, who hasn't been over-educated into stupidity. Like, I'll give you an example, right? When I first got to New York, I did the usual round of immigrant jobs, right? Because I wanted cash in hand, right? So, because I was still working through that immigration process, right? So, I was washing dishes in restaurants. Very happy to do that. You got, like, just washing dishes is an easy job. You just throw them onto a machine. Some you wash by hand. Some with big pots you wash with a spray thing. And the money was okay, and I'd done that work when I was a teenager in Ireland, so I wasn't afraid to do it. And I knew that you got paid, okay, and you got free food. So there was me and all these Puerto Rican guys working in the kitchen, and the Puerto Rican chef, an old guy, used to make me anything I wanted. And we all had an understanding of one another because we were all working class, and there was no bullshit there, you know. So then I got a job later on, which let me tell you, it's something I absolutely loathed but the money was great. But I hated doing it. And I had to do it because I wanted to play in bands, and I couldn't work in the nights because the other guys in bands would be working in the day and rehearse at night, and the gigs were at night, so I could only play at nights, okay, and work it. So I couldn't do restaurant work. You're working in the evening, so I got a daytime job as a house painter. Now, most of what I worked with this guy called Tommy, and we used to paint houses, okay, and one of the things we did was whitewashing apartment buildings when they were rebuilt, okay. So you'd be whitewashing an apartment building that was built in the 1890s in New York, right? And this is how it's always done there. You go in with like cans of white latex emulsion paint containers, and you paint the walls with just heavy, thick coatings of white paint. And then the landlord rents it out. So there'll be like a building where the landlord, like an old Jewish guy or an old Irish American guy, an old Italian guy, and he'd have like an apartment building with 50 apartments in Queens or Brooklyn or New York. And this guy, Tommy, was his regular, he's an Irish fella too, but he was much older than me. He'd been there since the 50s, and he took on lads from Ireland to help him paint. So you'd be working there. So I remember, and I was sitting there, and I was always amazed by how thick the paint was on the apartment walls. So you'd be in like some beautiful apartment building in Manhattan or Brooklyn, a very nice apartment. It wouldn't all be posh apartments. It was very nice, right? And you'd be painting the walls white, and the paint would be from over the decades. We'd like that thick. It'd be like a coating, a thickness of plaster. And I said to Tommy, I said, I understand nowadays we're painting this with emulsion latex paint, which is, and the reason why is it allows the wall to breathe. But I said, what did they paint in the old days with the old days before latex and emulsions was invented? And he said they used oil paint. Now, anyone who knows that if you get regular oil paint and you paint a wall, it will fall off after a few weeks, because what happens is the moisture and humidity in the wall, particularly if it's an outside wall in an old building, which these all were, cannot pass through the paint, so it bubbles and flakes. The paint falls off, right? And then he said, and then I said, but you can't paint walls. You paint trim and skirting boards with oil paint. And he goes, no, 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 it was linseed oil they used. And linseed oil paint allowed the wall to breathe. It's only petroleum paint later on that's where oil paints that you bought for commercial use are made with petroleum oils derivatives, where the previous ones were made with linseed oil. And that's why it was very expensive to paint the inside of a building back in the old days, because linseed is more expensive than like petroleum. And that's where our problem began. Now, that's an example of acquired experience. So if if you that would be like something that you learn through experience on the job, whatever kind of job you do, working in construction, whatever. Now, a guy who would come out of with a PhD or a master's might paint his walls, if he didn't know the difference, with an oil paint color and then wonder what was falling off after a few weeks, because he didn't work in those kinds of working class stiff jobs. Blue collar jobs, they call them in America. He would never have learned that acquired experience. And that acquired experience is street smarts. And that's why when they took the poll of the Needlecraft, the ones most likely to stand up and say they wanted it were highly educated people. The ones who questioned it were working class and people in trades that were called white trash and stupid morons by the educated ones. The reason why those people were skeptical was because they had built up street smarts from experience in the workplace. That's why you could go to college and learn to become a quantity surveyor or an architect. Then you go to a construction site and literally everything the professor told you have to tear up. It's like that scene in Back to School, Roddy Dangerfield lectures the business professor. It's like, hold on a second, that's not how it works, because real life experience and being in the office, reading about it, are two different things. So you will find that the people who handled the pandemic the best were generally people who had life experience through hands-on working, and also the ones who were less likely to get doom-laden by this were the same kind of people. People who had that hands-on experience or travel, or even people that come from middle-class backgrounds that did something like challenge themselves, like living in a shack in Peru for a while, you'll learn these skills. You learn, and they're ultimately coping mechanisms. And what you do over the course of a lifetime is you develop this accumulation that, yes, life is difficult, life is full of challenges, but solutions exist to everything, because human beings are very clever. And the past cleverness and adaptability of your previous generations is the reason why you don't have to have doom today, because there's a solution. And that's what made me just get over the border to Northern Ireland to get to do conferences in England and to do films in England. It was that belief that there's always a way of doing it, okay? So, and that's important. And the reason why is because if I had just doom, I'd be going, oh, I better get the, oh, please, I gotta get the Needlecraft or I'll die. Or, they're coming for us and they're going to put us in FEMA camps, on the other spectrum. In the middle is the person who goes, I've lived long enough to know that if you just wait, things will sort themselves out. And in the meantime, you adapt and you make contingency and provisions to deal with the bullshit. And if you're in a life or death situation, you do things like stock up food or money problems. If there's no money problems, you concentrate on your passions and your hobbies and the things you love. Okay. And the jobs you kept meaning to do and get around to. And that's a beautiful thing, because that switches off doom. When you're in a state of doom, folks, let me tell you, not only do you make poor decisions, not only do you become addicted to the adrenaline of doom, not only are you more likely to bottle it in the end and succumb to the thing that's causing the doom, but you also cause yourself a lot of health problems. What's happening in the subconscious mind is it's always aware of factors that are pertaining to the cognition of the conscious mind. And if the conscious mind is in a state of constant doom, anxiety, and stress, the subconscious mind sees that and assumes that this person is in a tremendous existential danger. And what happens then is it affects the DNA through epigenetics, and you start to lose your immune system. And the cancers that were dormant inside you will come to the surface. The lupus, the multiple sclerosis, the sexual dysfunctionality, the fibroids in women, especially. Things like digestive and stomach problems, stomach cancers start appearing because the subconscious mind thinks you're at the end of your life. And then epigenetics starts to shut down the natural immunity that you have in your body, and protections that you had there start to dissipate. You want to know why the most people, one of the reasons we in the Week in Strange decided to have that on a Monday was because we knew that Mondays was the shittiest day of the week for many people. It's shown over and over again that in the West more people die of heart attacks on Monday morning than any other time. Until recently, we'll talk about that in a second. So this is love is about not me going here going, I love you. Unconditional love. Love is about actions, not words. The father or the mother who never gave their, I love you, Dad, I love you, Mom, like those American TV shows, who never had the huggy-feely thing with their kids, but never treated them bad, and got out there at 5 a.m. every morning and struggled for 25 years to take care of their kids. That's real love, okay? That's the real shit, not the Hallmark love. That's the real love, okay? That's the real love. It's like, in fact, it was that guy Tommy who told me this years ago. He says and he was in Alcoholics Anonymous. He was a recovered alcoholic, and good luck for him. He got himself better. But he was saying to me that one of the things he discovered from his drinking days was a real friend. If you're if you're stuck somewhere and no money, a real friend will go and pick you up and see if you're okay. A fake friend will call a taxi to go and pick you up and then say, go away. It's politely. That's the difference between a real, and that was stuck between a real friend and a fake friend. So in terms of getting alternate or any mainstream information regarding things that are considered stressful, challenging, that could be doom-laden, the true messenger says, the messenger friend is the one who says, it's not looking good, but hey, let's try something to get out of it. The doom one goes, the acquaintance is the one that goes, what, you're fucked, you're just completely fucked, that's the end of the world, that's the end of that. It doesn't help. Even if those people have the best of intentions, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. You know, it's the same, and this is this kind of thing of, like, if you just go, oh God, they're going to be food. Klaus Schwab is going to have food shortages coming. Okay, I better plant my garden, my victory garden, with heirloom seeds bought from, guerrilla resistance radio.com or some shit like that, right? And there you are in a backyard in a fucking state of terror, planting your fucking carrots and your lettuce, and they either don't grow or the fucking bunny rabbits eat them, or they come out shit. That's because as you were planting them, you were in a state of terror. And even though you'd watched all your Dr. Emoto videos and all that stuff, you were in a state of terror. And guess what? That went into the soil, that went into the seeds, and that manifested in a failed crop. Where if you had planted that garden saying, with the kids, having a lot of fun, having a sense of joy, your garden would have been fruitful. Same with you packing your food. Oh, jeez, I better get down to Tesco and start stocking up everything. The Illuminati are coming to kill us. They're going to kill us with food shortage. It's going to be a great famine. Great famine. You're packing the stuff away. Oh, Jesus, we'll die of starvation. We don't have this. Where that food won't have the same nutrition, or you will get stomach cancer from it because you poisoned it. Compared to the ones who are going, well, look, it's handy to have. And we'll buy it while it's on sale. And if the worst comes to worst, we have food. And if nothing happens, we've saved a fortune. We can go on holiday with the money we've saved. That's how you fucking do it. Okay? You can't do doom all the time. You become aware of the potentials, but you don't suck them in. And there's a whole industry, especially in the mainstream, especially the alternative media isn't too bad, but the mainstream is the worst. And that's why they're all those who are Needlecraft, they're all sick now. So many of them are sick now because of it. They don't have the experience of life to realize that you can survive. Just, the people who are in concentration camps, and not just like, the Jews and the gypsies, but even the prisoners of war. So many of them would have died, outside the ones who were shot, died of TB, or starved. So many of them would have died just from giving up. Even the ones who were in the military, who had regular meals, they would have just given up and died. Prison officers will tell you that. The guy who's on a long custodial sentence, and he can't see himself ever getting out. In a couple of years, he dies of cancer or something like that. That's the subconscious mind giving up. We were nowhere near that. Nowhere near that, okay? We were promised, the mainstream were saying, I remember it would probably be like this for Leo Varadkar actually said a few months before it ended that we'll probably never be able to travel forever. Forever. That's the words he used. I laughed at that. Because I knew there was no way the airlines would put up with that. And that was also confirmation to me this is really about the climate change thing. And so is Ukraine in a way too, believe it or not. And what doom is also dogma. You've turned the state into a religion. You've turned the media into a religion. Okay? I'll give you an example. I don't agree, and I've always said this, with David Icke's reptilian stuff. And I still haven't seen any great proof of it. Because there's animal hybrid types everywhere. As a metaphor for psychopaths, it's superb. It's excellent. But in terms of the shape-shifting reptiles, I haven't seen anything. I'm not saying it's not true, I'm just saying I haven't seen anything. Aside from that, everything else, I've always said I know David Icke is a sincere individual, and as a sincere person who's not driven by anything else other than to spread what he knows, what he's learned, what he believes to be the situation. Totally respect that. And just about everything else he said has come true. But he is smart in that he understands that you can't be lost in that world. So that's why he often jokes or does things like this, because it is serious as it is, and as evil as these bastards are. You have to live. You have to laugh at demons. Okay? If the most powerful force on this planet today, both in terms of spirituality, magical power, and the ability to heal people at the soul, cognitive, and physical level is the fucking funny memes on Facebook and social media, on MeWe and everywhere else. Those memes are the work of righteousness. When you hear about like Klaus Schwab and you see it, you're worried about the worst of it, and then someone has a funny meme about Klaus Schwab or Trudeau or any of them, and you burst out laughing, that is the gods taking care of you. That's the gods reminding you you're not alone. This is why memes are so powerful. This is why satire, from the time of the Roman Forum to the memes, the European Union trying to ban memes today, they're so terrified of it. They're terrified of satire, memes, and humor. Memes are the most powerful force on this planet today. They're more powerful than the Bilderbergs, the trilateralists. You look, during the Rona, we faced $1 trillion, trillion euro, trillion yen, trillion pound propaganda machine. And we defeated it with memes. With memes. I would read some article about the WEF and Klaus Schwab, and they're going, holy fuck, these people are out of control. And I'd be like, for a minute, I'd go, how the fuck do we fight them? And put them, and then I'd see a fucking funny meme about, Bill Gates or something. I'd burst out laughing. And then I'd realize, that's how you beat them. They want you in doom. They want you in doom because they know that in doom, the cowards will surrender. The ones who are not cowards but are confused will make poor decisions, which will ultimately lead them to defeat. And they also know that the ones who are too clever will see through them. I'm still convinced this is an intelligence test. I really am. It's a spiritual battle, as a friend of mine said recently. All of it is a spiritual battle. All of it. Now, why is it that when you have a meme, or when you paint a picture, or write a song, or play with your guitar, or build a plastic Airfix model, or, go buy some old comic books and read them, that you suddenly feel relieved while you're doing it? And I'll tell you why. Because your soul is thanking you. You are in a state of dharma. You're fulfilling your destiny. It's your soul saying to you, this is what I want you to do. I want you to play drums. I want you to garden. I want you to go cycling. I want you to take the kids out and build a model airplane and fly it. This is what your soul wants you to do. And when you do it, you're instantly rewarded because your subconscious mind is switched off from the doom of the moment. And back to the egg ritual, that's why I did it. And it gives you a moment of pause. It puts you in control. It's like the whole thing. Anyone who was in a relationship with someone who broke your heart, okay? And they said, can we still be friends? And you say, you're trying to be nice, but yeah, okay. And every time they email you or you see them online, or you're doing your best, but it's tugging at your heartstrings, okay? You will find that the day that you block them online and you don't want to see them again, or you block them on Facebook, or you don't answer their phone calls, you feel an enormous sense of relief. Because you trying to be a nice guy to go along, to get along, is just causing you pain. Because deep down inside, you want to scream to these people, you fucking really hurt me. You really hurt me and you don't care. And there's nothing I can do about it, and there's nothing you're going to do about it. The best thing is just for me to cut off any contact with you. I have to do it for myself. But at first, because people are told, oh, you must, that's why ghosting is a fucking wonderful thing. And that's why the mainstream hates ghosting. And always has articles about, my ex ghosted me. No, go fucking ghost, okay? Because that will give you the respite. So when I did the egg ritual, it was ghosting, even for one night, or if 1 hour, the doom that was coming from the mainstream and the alternative. It was saying to yourself, I love myself more than I'm going to let the doom take me over. Okay. What happens when you're in doom? I'll give you an example, right? The world is run by incompetent, and I do mean that, black magicians. An incompetent magician always self-destructs because they don't fully understand the concept of attenuation of psychic energy, both at the macro or the micro. And they become bullies. So that's why your cat lady, pagan, Wiccan, druidess, goddess, always ends up in misery because she hexes everybody. Okay. Same with the control grid. Their plans are always doomed to failure because they're hexing constantly, and they overdo it. And those of us who have been watched, this is why I proudly call myself a conspiracy theorist. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of it. It's not what I am. It's what I'm into. I'm many things. I'm an artist. I'm a writer. I'm a musician. I'm a gobshite. I study megaliths. I have a laughing. This kind of thing. But that's part. Yeah, I believe in conspiracy theories. Why not? The history of the world tells me you should. Well, and that if someone goes, conspiracy theorist, and you go, well, not really. I'm a conspiracy. Here's not the handler. The next time someone calls you a conspiracy theorist, here we go, tribe. Okay, you're gonna make me real proud if we do this. Okay, this is our quest. Okay, this is not an order. This is what I would love us to do. Okay, the next time someone says, you're one of them conspiracy theorists, you go, yeah, I am. What? Yeah. I've lived long enough and I've seen the history of the world to know that this shit goes down. Yeah, I'm a conspiracy. Yeah, conspiracy theorems. Yeah, theorists. I'm into that. Yeah, no problem. The worst thing to do, don't do this. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy realist. I'm doing this job. I'm doing that job. No, this is. Here's the. See, I'm coughing. Here, my immune system is actually thinking I'm in a state of stress. I will present these links. Here's 10,000 links. Here's a 14-hour video. I'm not a it really happened. Blah, blah. Bilderbergs. Blah, nah. I'm a conspiracy theorist. What do you mean? I am. Why? History of the world, motherfucker. It's all out there. You don't have to explain because you already know, okay? You don't have to explain to these people, these profane muppets, that you waste your life on them. Your rationale for your way of thinking. What goes on inside your mind is like what goes on inside your underpants. Once it's hurting nobody else, it's no one's business, okay? So they don't have to get into your mind. So therefore you don't have to just justify why you're a conspiracy theorist. They don't do it me because I'm a fucking genius in many ways. For instance, I can directly correlate the Chinese Revolution to wind turbines in one quick sentence. In 1950s, the Chinese communists, like all Bolsheviks, wanted to starve the Chinese to death. Okay, they wanted to reduce the population. That's the Bolsheviks. That's what Marxists do. Okay, so they told them that the grain harvest was caused by the sparrows. Okay, so they made public information films and propaganda teaching everyone to go out and kill the sparrows. Okay. So and they showed them, like, get your gun and shoot the sparrow. Teaching kids get a slingshot. Nets. Kill the sparrows. Save China. Save the communist revolution, right? And what happened then was all the sparrows were gone, and then there was an increase in the insects that actually killed, that the sparrows actually ate. that actually destroyed the crops and actually caused a real famine. That's communism for you. How does that relate to wind turbines? Wind turbines kill billions of birds every year and bats, right? As a result, we're going to have a proliferation of insects because of Klaus Schwab and the World Trade and all the greenies and all the Bolsheviks in charge. They telling us we have to build more and more turbines. They're obsessed with them. Fill turbines everywhere. Fill them, put them everywhere. It's like they're obsessed with them, right? All the birds are being wiped out. We're having a proliferation of bugs. Just by chance, what are the World Economic Forum telling us to do? Eat bugs. Where did my great mind realize that amazing revelation? Because of life experience. I've seen it happen in other ways. I know when these motherfuckers do something, it's usually a repeat of some past thing they did. And they're just doing it again because they know nothing else, just in a different way. Because they have black magic, but they don't have pure magic. So therefore, what we're seeing right there, the World Economic Forum is just putting together the Chinese Communist Revolution for the West. That's all they're doing. But it will fail because we in the West are very different than the Chinese after the centuries of the Han rule. You see, when Mao Zedong and the rest of them took over China, they'd already been broken down by their feudal system there. We in the West have had that taste of freedom they'll never take from us, especially in places like America. They'll never, and Australia, well, they'll get their back, and so will Canada. And the Irish probably won't, but that's just, you're not going to win every battle. And it's an individual battle, it's an individual battle. And those Chinese that shot those sparrows out of the sky all died of starvation. Why? Because the insects that the sparrows would have eaten ate the harvest. Dumb motherfuckers. Okay. Now, that relates also to the doom surrounding the Rona. All the ones who ran out and got the Needlecraft 1 and 2 and the Froghorn Leghorn, they are all, so many of them, died almost immediately after or have recurring health problems that are only getting worse. Protein expansion within the cerebral cortexes of their brain. Myocarditis. Strokes and blood clots, amputations. Right before the Needlecraft began, what suddenly happened all around Western countries? Defibrillators were appearing on every fucking street corner. I was amazed to see country villages in Ireland with a defibrillator outside the post office. What? Is heart attack that much of a problem? And at first I was thinking there's a reason for this, and I was thinking that's probably the obesity thing, and also people been eating shit food. But now I understand. The ones who put the defibrillators on the street corners were the ones who knew that the Needlecraft, i.e. your government, your bureaucrats, knew that the Needlecraft was going to cause heart problems. And so when people were dropping dead, young people were collapsing on a Saturday night like they are all over the world, they could say, thank God to the government for putting those defibrillators on the walls. That's black magic, folks. That's fucking black magic, okay? But we saw through it. Those of us who are conspiracy theorists saw through it. And as a result, we don't have to worry about myocarditis. We don't have to worry about strokes, having our feet amputated from clots. We don't have to worry about her dropping dead at a dance hall at age 25. Or playing sports. We don't have to worry about it. And that's why when someone says to you, it's the end of the world, we're doomed, the Illuminati are going to do this, that, and the other, your attitude that is, well, we'll see. Yeah, it's good that you give me, thanks for the information on these people, but I'm going in to do some recording on my home studio. I'm taking the kids out to the park to play football. I'm going to go play darts with my friends. That's your answer to that. And in the background, you're thinking, okay, maybe food. There is going to be a food shortage. I'll just add a few extra things into the storage, a few extra bits every week, like into the pantry. Maybe I should really think about planting a garden. That'd be a bit of fun. The kids would get a kick out of it as well. That's the egg ritual on a basic level. And if the other side, if they call you, that's why you do it. And the other sides are calling you a conspiracy theorist, and I want you to do this. Try from now on. I would love you to do this. I don't want you to do it. I hope you will do it. You'll just say, "Yeah, I am a conspiracy theorist," because that's the last thing I got. That's how you will undo that black magic. That thing of calling someone a conspiracy theorist is, it's like the way the black people in America started to use the N word for themselves, or gays start calling themselves homos and all that stuff, and using gay slags for themselves. It's the same thing. You take the power of the word back, and you go, you are a conspiracy theorist. Hang your head in shame. Well, like, you're absolutely right, I am. What? You're supposed to cower in shame as my superior trust the science intellect talks down to you. You're supposed to cower in shame. Then if not, you're supposed to spend 14 days sending me links, sending me posts, sending me to Alex Jones, sending me here so I can mock and say it's not peer reviewed. Instead, you just go, yeah, I am. Why? Then the stress is on his side. Because of life experience. Sanguine Gnosis, love you all.